Well, hello, beautiful ones. I'm Stacey Murphy, your man and money coach, and I'm so excited to have you here on this video with me today. I'm going to be talking about a foundational quality that I feel all successful women have who are able to easily attract the man and the money. And I'm going to be real with you, ladies. I feel that, to me, that's the secret to having it all, having a happy, harmonious relationship as well as financial stability. So I'm going to assume that you feel the same way, right, as we're going through this journey together. And some of you may be asking, well, aren't you a love and sex coach? So why are you talking about money, right? And here's the important reason why. The three top reasons that relationships fail and people go to Splitsville are: number one, incompatibility; number two, sex; and number three is money. And this is what makes my coaching a little bit differently, because when I'm working with my ladies, whether you're wanting to have a new relationship in your life or keep the one that you have, I really look at the whole picture in terms of, what are those issues that couples have a very hard time with, which cause them to break up, and really address those issues before they get into the relationship, right? So it's not only about learning how to attract or be with your soulmate. You also have to be comfortable and healed in your sexual expression. And you also have to have a really healthy relationship with money, right? Because you're still in a relationship, but this relationship is with money. And so when I work with my ladies in my Love Goddess Mastery system, that's why it addresses understanding yourself, really understanding men, having your healthy sexual expression, and then also having a healthy relationship with money. And so this is the Man and Money Success Path, and that's my Love Goddess Mastery system. So what happens is there is something, though, that holds this entire glue, like the glue that holds this entire system together. And that is the key quality that I want to talk to you about. So before I get to that, I want to share with you what is a system, and it comprised of 7 pillars. And these pillars, I say, ladies, are skills that you need to master. All right. So if you have a piece of paper and pen, I want you to write this down. And obviously, also, if you do have my book, The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy, The Ultimate Guide to Men, Sex, and Money, you can also follow along in there as well. So here are the 7 pillars. Number 1 is mind mastery or mind power, right? That is key number 1. Your mind is a powerful engine that many of us, we don't utilize enough of it. But using the powers of the law of attraction and really helping to heal your sabotaging behavior, that's a large part of mind mastery and putting your intentions out there. When you combine that with pillar number 2, which is heart power, which is emotional mastery, those two together is what, ladies, what helps you to have self-mastery, right? So that you can really understand yourself, being healthy, whole, and complete going into a relationship. And then that leads to pillar number 3, which is man mastery or man power, right? So remember, the number 1 reason for Splitsville was incompatibility. Incompatibility is comprised of 2 components: 50% you, 50% him, right? So first, this is why we deal with self-mastery, because you really have to understand you who's going into the relationship. Then after that, it's man mastery. Then now you have to understand him. And how many of you, right, watching this video really have studied men? How they think, why they have the traits they have, why they do what they do, why they like sex so much, right? Have you really studied their mannerisms and really getting into the head of men, right? And so that is part of man mastery. And so that's the 3rd pillar in the Love Goddess Mastery system that my ladies go through. So from there, okay, you have your self-mastery, you have your man mastery. Pillar number 4 is girl power. Now, girl power takes your self-mastery to another level. And now we're going to layer onto your womanhood is your femininity. And this, ladies, is about you stepping into your feminine power, you stepping into your wow factor, you stepping into a bigger version of who you are, right? And so that's the next level in your self-mastery. So as we're putting this all together into this wonderful cocktail, right, the next pillar is the power of persuasion and influence. The power of persuasion and influence in your relationship, the power of persuasion and influence with your man, as well as in your career or business, so that you can be influential, right? Because here's one of those things. When it comes to the abilities and these pillars, many of the skills that you use to attract your partner are many of the same skills that you use when you are in your business, in your career, because you are attracting opportunity to you, all right? And so this is why we get into that in the power of persuasion and influence. So that's pillar number 5. So we've covered 5 pillars. So right now it is mind mastery or mental mastery, emotional mastery, which is heart power, man mastery, girl power, power of influence and persuasion. And so the 6th pillar is money mastery and money power. And now you already know why it's important, why I talk about that, because money is the 3rd top reason why couples split up. So we don't want that to be a reason why your relationship is not successful. So we're going to be taking care of your relationship with money right now. And so here, this is so that you can have a healthy mindset. And when you have a healthy relationship with money, you will then be more able to attract a man that has a healthy relationship with money. So this is one of those ways to get rid of those broke dudes that keep knocking at your door. Part of that is when you have a better relationship with money, you will stop experiencing that. And then also, guess what? If your man has a better relationship with money, what do you think he'll do more? Oh, spoil you like a queen, right? So this is why I really deal and talk about money mastery as part of the Love Goddess Mastery System. And then pillar number 7 is my favorite, save the best for last, right? And that is sexual mastery and sex power. Ladies, you are the CEO, the chief erotic officer in the bedroom. And when we get to sexual mastery, that is also about self-mastery as well as man mastery together. Because with your sexual power, you can be having some great sexual experiences by yourself. It's called self-pleasuring. That's what that's called. But then you also want to have a healthy sexual relationship with your partner. That's why it's both of them together. Like I said, saving the best for last. And those are the 7 pillars of the Love Goddess Mastery System. So what is that glue that holds all of it together? Right? What is that glue that when you have that, because it is the foundation, it leads to having the man and the money. And that glue, ladies, is your charisma. That is the glue. That is the foundational element that really brings this all to life, right? And there actually is a formula for charisma. And here's what that formula is. Charisma is when you have your confidence plus your girl power. And what happens is that gives you self-mastery. And with that self-mastery, you are authentically and genuinely being who you are. And when you are in that place of authenticity, that is when you are charismatic. That is when you're influential. That is when people will pay attention to you. And when people pay attention to you, that's when you get more opportunities. This is the foundational element that all successful women have, who are able to attract the man and the men and the money in their lives. Now, when you think of charisma, I want you to think of your charisma in this way. There are 3 levels to your vixenhood, right? Because, I'm all about ladies. We're all vixens. And that's why I named my business the Vixen Academy. And that's because, vixens are women who are vivacious. We are intelligent. We are extraordinary. And we are empowered. You are empowered. And being a vixen also is a woman, you, who loves being naughty. It is fun being naughty. It's okay. As well as being nice. It's not one or the other. It is both together. That is balance. That is harmony. That is a vixen, and that is you, okay? So in your vixenhood, there are 3 levels to that. And I want you to think of it this way. With your vixenhood in this energy, it's not an on and off switch. It's not a light switch that you just turn on and off. It's more like a dimmer switch. This energy is always on. It just depends. You shift and adjust it according to the environment that you're in, the people that you're around, and the end intention or outcome that you would like to have. So here are your 3 levels of your vixenhood. The first one is charisma. Charisma is level 1 because it's always on. You use this energy if you're going to the grocery store or if you're going to a supper club to meet a new guy, right? So it is always on, right? So that's level 1. Level 2 is, okay, we're now increasing the intensity. Level 2 is seduction, right? Seduction is best used in social environments as well as your intimate romantic environments with seduction, right? Because we're intensifying the heat a little bit. The third level, where it's full throttle, the brightest, that is your sex kitten energy, right? That is that CEO, the chief erotic officer in the bedroom. And the light is brightly lit for all to see, for you and your partner to fully enjoy, right? And that is what you use in intimate and romantic scenarios. So those are the 3 levels of your vixenhood. So this is where, that's why I said in this video, we are focusing on your foundational element, which is charisma. Now, charisma is something where, and I want to explain to you how it feels. One of the things about charisma is it has a wonderful personality to it. People that are charismatic, people can connect with them. People have charisma, are very confident. They use charm because they're able to inspire people. They're able to motivate people, and they're able to make other people feel good. And when you're able to make another person feel good, they want to be around you. They want to be in your energy, right? Because you elevate them up versus drag them down. And so that is the power that charismatic people have. And so when you're charismatic, one of the things that you have the ability and the power to do is to influence people, to be persuasive. Now, I use persuasion and influence because you're not manipulating people. You're not tricking people. You're not using ulterior motives and all of that other stuff. This is about you being genuine. This is about you having the courage to be your authentic self, right? And so what happens is that's why we admire people that are charismatic. Motivational speakers are charismatic, right? When they get up on a stage, they're able to motivate people and they feel, oh my God, I feel amazing. I can do this now. They have charisma because other people tap into that power. Now, what is it? What is that secret sauce to charisma, right? So like you learned in the Love Goddess Mastery System, the glue was charisma, but then what is the secret sauce? What is the ingredient to the charisma that makes all of this possible? And that ingredient is vulnerability. Every person who is charismatic allows themselves to be vulnerable. Now, don't freak out. Vulnerability is not a 4-letter word. And if anything, I really love the teaching of Brené Brown, right? The power of vulnerability. If you're not familiar with her teaching, I highly recommend that you check her out, Brené Brown. And vulnerability, actually, ladies, is your strength. Vulnerability is not about being an emotional basket case or sharing your entire life on Facebook. That's just crazy making behavior. That is not vulnerability. And if you have some emotional issues, you need to go to see a therapist. That's not vulnerability either. Vulnerability is this. It is about being your authentic self, having the courage to show who you are to other people without a mask, without the games or any of that. And having a mask is different than discerning and having a filter, right? We all need to have a filter when we are presenting ourselves and interacting with people, right? So we edit what we say so we don't monopolize a conversation or whatever. But wearing a mask is not showing who you are. And so with vulnerability, you take off that mask for other people to see you. And when you have taken off that mask, people can feel your energy. People can see who you truly are. And then you give other people permission to be who they are. And that is the real power of charisma. And you can only tap into that when you're able and have the confidence to really tap into your own vulnerability. And this is why in any of the coaching that I do, whether it's private coaching, whether it's group coaching, or even into my home study programs, I always talk about vulnerability. You will have a lesson of vulnerability with me, so you're no longer afraid of vulnerability, but you can actually use it as your asset You can use it as a power source because, ladies, you can tap into that so much quicker than men can. And men are looking for this aspect in you so they can relate to you better, so they can connect with you more. All right. I'm sure you didn't know about that one. Okay. So this is why vulnerability is important. This is how vulnerability really plays into charisma. All right. And so I want to talk a little bit more about a mindset, the charismatic mindset. And here's a question that you can ask yourself so that you can start to connect with people more authentically and be charismatic, right? So instead of having that wall of fear that's there, whenever you put a wall up because you're afraid of, being hurt, you do come off as standoffish. So it's more difficult for people to connect with you. Honestly, that was an issue that I had. I'm originally from New York City. And in New York, we learned growing up, I was told you need to have your game face on. And what that means is, for those of you that know about that, your game face is you have your facial expression a particular way where people can't read your emotions. So people can't read you. And in New York, the reason why that was so important is you didn't want people to bother you. There's so much limited space in New York City. So everyone is really, they have their own personal space. And so you had to put your game face on so people wouldn't mess with you, so that you can walk about the street and people just don't bother you, catcalling and all this other kind of shenanigans that you would have to deal with. So when I left New York, I literally had to work on that because everyone was telling me, oh my God, you're so intimidating. I'm like, really? But they would say, but when we get to know you, you're like totally not like that. It was because of that. I had that wall up. I had that mask. I had my game face, so people couldn't relate to me. So this is what I started asking myself. How can I genuinely connect with this person so they can hear and feel me? So I can hear and feel them. Because, it's not all about you. And that's the other thing about charisma. When you are charismatic, the other person feels it's also about them as much as it is about you. And that also is what allows them to connect with you more. That also what allows you to be more charismatic. All right. So ask yourself that one question, and I'll repeat it for you. How can I genuinely connect with this person so that we both can hear, feel, and relate to each other? Okay. And so when you ask yourself that question, then all of a sudden your energy feels calmer. You're not as frightened about the vulnerability piece. You're like, okay, that feels plausible. So that's where I want you to start doing that. And I also want to give you a real quick example of how you can use charisma every day in your life. Okay. This is a really funny story, a really funny story. In this particular one, this is my personal story. I had to go to the courthouse to submit some paperwork and a hearing. Now, many times when you have to go to any kind of government institution or courthouse, you're not going to go skipping gleefully going over there. You do it because you have to do it, not because you want to spend the day at the courthouse, right? So what happens is I got there relatively early. And so when I got there, I took my number, as you always do, and I looked at all the people that were working right at the counter, and it was all women. There was this one guy. It was a young dude too. And I was looking at each of them, and the guy, his energy was real stank. He had this look on his face like, I hate my job. I don't want to be here. I can't stand this, yada, 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 yada. So, of course, I was like, oh, my God. I said to myself, I hope I don't get him. All right, that's exactly what I said. So when they called my number, guess who I got? Law of attraction never fails. I got the dude that had the stank look on his face. So when I walked over to the counter, I said to myself, as I was walking up there, I said, you know what? I'm not going to match his energy. I'm going to bring him to my energy. So when I walked over to the counter, even though he did not look up at me, his head was down looking at the counter, I looked straight at him, had a smile on my face, even though he couldn't see my face at this point. And I said, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for helping me out with that. I hope you're having a good day. Guess what he did? He lifted up his head, and he had this look on his face, and he was like, no one has ever asked me how I'm doing, right? And that was the bewildered look he had on his face. And so I said to him that, I have this paperwork. I looked on the website and hopefully I have all what I need so it can make your job easier. And the tone of voice that I have right now is the tone of voice I was using with him. And I said, I said, to make your job easier, I said, because trust me, I do want to get out of here as soon as I can. And what happened was he looked at me again and he goes, you know what? The website, so many people, they have issues with it. You're one of the few that actually looks at the website before they even come in here. I'm like, really? I said, I thought more people would do that. He goes, no, so many people don't. And then they come up here with an attitude. And I have to deal. People have no idea how hard it is that we have to, we're here to help you, but people come up to the counter every time angry. They said they walk up already angry, annoyed, and all this other stuff. And that's what we have to deal with. And I said to him, man, that must really be tough. And he goes, yeah, it is. And what happens was that, ladies, is charisma. So let's fast forward. This is what happened. I didn't have all the paperwork because the website didn't tell me everything. Guess what? He went and actually got it for me. He stood there. I filled it out. He said, oh, you need to have copies of this before we can submit it. I said, well, do I have to get back in line? Or no, you don't have to get in line. Just leave your stuff here. Go make the copy. I'll wait for you and come back. Okay. So I went and I did that. Then to submit the paperwork, I knew from the website, I had a fee of like $200 I had to pay. So I said to him, I said, well, I think I owe you some money, $200. And he looked and he goes, well, according to what it says here, you don't owe anything. Cool. So he was like, you're good. And he goes, well, thank you. Have a good day, sweetheart. Have good luck with stuff. You're ready. Go downstairs and you can submit the paperwork. Boom, done. I got in and out quicker than all the other people that were standing there at the counter. All of them looking miserable. And I was in and out, smile on my face, and $200 more in my pocket that I didn't have to spend, right? That is what charisma does. That's why it's always on. And so in the Love Goddess Mastery System, one of the things, the ladies, what you have to do is practice the skills in everyday life so that when your man comes along, you don't have to go, oh my God, what do I need to do now? You've been practicing it all of this time, all right? So now that you know the importance of charisma, I want you to start embracing this in your own life, all right? I want you to start doing that. So what happens is I invite you, if you already have my book, right? The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy, the Ultimate Guide to Men, Sex, and Money. I want you to really go through, everything I said about the pillars. There's also a companion guide that I have for you to capture your notes. So I want you to go ahead and do that as well. Capture your notes about each of the pillars. What is it that you are good at right now? What is it that you have to work on? I give you some great tools and what I call power-ups, right? And some techniques. And in the workbook, in the companion guide, you can actually write down which ones are your favorite tools and techniques so that you can access those at a moment's notice in whatever it is that you're wanting to deal with, all right? And so I invite you to do that. If you don't have a copy of my book, there is a link either below this video or off to the side. It kind of depends on where you're seeing this video, and you can actually get a copy of my book. Again, The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy, the Ultimate Guide to Men, Sex, and Money. And so to close out this particular video, this is also why charisma is extremely important. In your intimate relationships with your man, say you're on a dating site and there are two profiles that look exactly the same. However, this guy can actually feel your charismatic energy through the profile. And ladies, I'm telling you this, they can feel the energy through the profile. This is why some women, they create and have a really great profile. They have someone write it for them. They have professional pictures and they still get nothing. It's because you haven't done the inner work yet that your profile is still attached to, right? So that's kind of segueing a little bit. So let's kind of get back on topic here. So the guy, he sees two rows, but he can feel the charisma from one profile. Who do you think he's going to select to want to go out with and reach out to? He's going to select the person where he can actually feel the charisma in your pictures and in the tone and everything that you're doing. Because here's the other thing for men, They like that confidence. A person that has charisma has confidence. And a man, when he wants to be with a confident woman, because he wants to be a power couple, right? So that's why charisma is important, especially when you first are attracting and wanting to attract your love. Now, when it comes to work, right? When it comes to work and business, charisma is important. So there's you and another employee. Your skills are relatively similar, but you have charisma and the other person doesn't. Who do you think they're going to want to work with? They're going to want to work with the person that has charisma versus the person that has a personality of dry paint, right? Or watching paint dry. So they're going to choose the one that has charisma. And what happens is when you have charisma and they choose to work with you, you have more exposure. People see you, people notice you. When people see and notice you, that equals more opportunity. And with more opportunity, that can equal the man, that can also equal the money, all right? That's how this whole domino effect works. So ladies, be courageous. Play big in your life. I want you to do that, all right? Because you owe that to yourself. So yet again, go ahead, get a copy of my book, The Secrets to Get the Guy and Keep the Guy, The Ultimate Guide to Men, Sex, and Money. And go ahead and make sure you grab the companion guide as well so you can capture your notes and start working the Love Goddess Mastery System. Start implementing it in your life, because this is how my clients have gotten some tremendous results. And if you want to know, so if you may say, okay, what have they gotten? So I want to share a story from one of my clients, Jennifer. And for her, she actually got the money first, then the man came after the money. So it can come in different orders. It doesn't always have to be in a sequential order, right? So with Jennifer, my client Jennifer, she had been working on trying to get to the next level in her career, and she felt she was being blocked for an entire year. So what happened was I looked at her pattern, and when we started working together, I said, okay, girl, here is what's going on. This is why you've been having this impasse. And this, especially this impasse with this one person. It was a male supervisor. And in 2 weeks, boom, we turned that around using the Love Goddess Mastery System. And she had been trying to do this for a year on her own. We were able to turn that around in 2 weeks. So what ended up happening is she got the job opportunity paying her $25,000 more a year, all right? So she now was get close to six figures in her career, right? But that one conversation, 2 weeks that we were working, turned into $25,000 in income for her. So then what happened was, all right, she went on to the new job opportunity, and in that environment, it put her in contact with her man. And that is how she was able to get the man and the money. And then the last follow-up I got from her, was, I think the last follow-up I got from her was like the beginning of this year or something like that. And she says, guess what? I was now able to buy my first house. That's what it's all about. But what happened was she was willing to invest in herself. That is what was happening, and she worked the Love Goddess Mastery System to the nth degree, and that's how she was able, Jennifer was able to get the man and the money. And you can do that too, because when you start to play big in life, that is what can happen for you as well. And with that, thank you so much for being with me here on this video about really stepping into your charisma. And I want you to stay tuned for the upcoming videos so you can step a little bit more into the Love Goddess Mastery System. With that, namaste.